Welcome to the Jiu Jitsu Oracle, where we are going to pick who we think should make the 3 Misfits teams that are going to compete in CJI2, which is a team tournament, 8 teams. We believe it's 5 teams representing gyms and 3 teams representing continents. So we have Americas, that's North America and South America, we believe, Europe, and Australasia. And what Australasia comprises in terms of this event remains to be seen. Is it just Australia and New Zealand, or is it Australia and Asia? We'll discuss that more as we get into picks for that region. But first, Callum is going to start debating who he thinks should be in the Americas team. So it's Callum, I'm Ross, as always, on the Jiu Jitsu Oracle. The teams are made up of under 66, under 77, under 88, under 99, and over 99 ADCC weight classes. We'll kick things off with the Americas, North and South America combined, under 66. Callum, who do you think should make the cut?
Yeah, this weight class ADCC for the past couple events has been dominated by Brazilians, so we're going to try give 2 guys for each weight class, and 2 guys we're going to pick are the guys that got first and second at ADCC, and that's going to be Baby Shark and Diego Pato. So we don't know if it's going to be 1 guy for each weight class, or it's going to be like Aiga and they're going to have stand-ins like a couple guys per weight class, but we're going to give a couple anyway because we don't know the solidified team. So yeah, Baby Shark and Pato are going to be my shouts for that weight class.
Yes, and we're going to steer clear of nominating grapplers from the gyms that we believe are taking part, which so far is New Wave, which organizer Craig Jones recently announced their participation. B team will obviously be in, what with it being Craig Jones's team. We think 10th Planet will be in from what's being posted on social media. Atos as well, we think, are likely to take part, and then there's a 5th team we don't know. So we're going to try and steer clear of, like, especially those 4 gyms that are already probably in the running. So we have Baby Shark from the Melky Galvao squad and Diego Pato from AOJ. So that's why they're suggested. What about under 77?
Yeah, I think Mika is a clear shout with the absence of the Rotolo twins, so he's going to be one of them. And then a man from the 51st state of America, Dante Leon, is going to be the other shout for that.
Apologies to all our Canadian viewers and listeners there from Trump fanatic Callum bringing in that reference. But I would love to see, I know Mika's like the obvious pick, and he's one of the superstars of the sport. And if he did it, if he wanted to compete, obviously you put him in. But I would love to see Dante given a chance. Obviously, like, he is right at that top end of the sport. Representing Canada adds a little bit more flavor to the Americas team. And yeah, so I think, like, and as a competitor, I think he's great for this quintet format. Like, you could put, like, Dante could beat anyone on his day. Yeah. So I think it'd be good to see him. But yeah, if Mika wants to do it, I would definitely pick Mika. He's an absolute superstar. Under 88.
Yeah, I think one clear shout is Pedro Mourinho. He's had a ton of success out with ADCC. He's kind of fell short a little bit from what we think he's capable of in ADCC, but outside of that, he's had a lot of success. He's beaten guys like Giancarlo and Craig Jones. And then the other shout is a guy that's been competing in no-gi, but we'd like to see step up for some of these bigger competitions. He's kind of just been lurking around the who's number 1 scene, but we think he's capable of beating a lot of the top guys in no-gi, and that's Tynan Dapra.
So then we see that we've suggested Pato and we've suggested Tynan, both from AOJ, but we don't expect AOJ to be part of this. Would that be fair enough in assuming that?
Yeah, the kind of culture from the coaching at AOJ, they're very protective about their brand and their image, I think. So I think if they were to enter something like this, they'd want to be pretty sure they'd have a very good chance of winning it, especially representing as a team AOG. You know, they're very proud of the fact that at the IBJJF competitions, they do very well in the juvenile divisions, the collar belt divisions, the adult divisions. So they do definitely have some strong players, but I think they would want to have a bit more certainty over winning, especially at a big stage like this. So I think it's unlikely we see AOJ compete as a team.
Yeah, and I think at AOJ now you do have in the past it skewed a bit lighter, but you do now have representation all the way through to like heavyweight, right?
Yeah.
But I think like Gutenberg Pereira represents AOJ, right? But then and he's really, really good. But I think like when you start to get to the over 99 weight class and you've got some of like, you know, the absolute elite of the sport being in there, I think that's the bit where they might struggle in the bigger weights. Like up to and including Tynan at under 88, they could put together a fantastic team, but I just think they might struggle a bit at like the top end. Under 99, what do you think?
Yeah, so this one gets a bit interesting. I think we could potentially see Cyborg, could be a good shout. He's done well at the recent ADCCs. Lovato is another one that's done fairly well in those kind of competitions lately, both on the older side, but both seem to be still competing quite highly at that level. Another one that we could see is Pena, but we don't know if he's maybe going to represent Atos. We don't know quite what the rules are, if you need to be like full-time training at that gym, or he's obviously done a camp there recently for the last ADCC, so we don't quite know what the regulations are around who can represent what team, but Pena, if he's not representing Atos, could definitely be a guy that we see representing the Americas teams at under 99 or over 99 as well.
So this is where it gets interesting because I think once you get up to the heavier numbers, guys could possibly be in one or another weight class.
First time as well. I think he's done over 99 in the past as well.
Yeah, and then like we chatted before about Roberto Jimenez, who could probably take part in a number of weight classes.
Yeah.
And he's a interesting, exciting grappler, and I think that's what Craig will be looking for. I don't know who's going to pick these teams, by the way, whether it's just Craig and the organizers, or whether they'll designate like captains or managers or whatever to do it. Mason Fowler at under 99 was another. Particularly like good finisher, which is what you want to see in this event. Like, I don't think they'll be looking for matches that go long, that go for draws and stuff like that. They will want to get exciting grapplers in. So I think Mason Fowler is a good shout from that perspective. And then over 99, you've said Pena could go over 99. But I think there's like one clear contender at over 99 if he's fit and will to do it. Pardon?
Yeah. Well over 99.
Well over 99, yeah. Victor Hugo. Yeah. Would you have him on the list?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like we've spoken about in recent podcasts, he's definitely in that upper echelon of the conversation for the best heavyweight in the world just now, alongside guys like Pena, Nicky Rod, Kainan Merigali. So, got good size, good guard, very well rounded, can get the finish. So I think he's a likely candidate for that weight class.
Now, with a lot of these guys, we're like we said, we're trying to suggest two in each category at least. With a lot of these guys, it's going to be splitting hairs, deciding one or the other. But let's try and narrow it down to one in each weight class, just so we have like our starting five for each Misfits team. So let's go under 66. Just pick one.
I'll pick Pato.
Pato, 77.
Mika.
88.
I'd rather see Tynan, but I think Mourinho's more likely.
Well, which one are you going to put on the list? Let's just say everyone's... Yeah, let's just say everyone we suggest is going to be willing to do it, and then when we get closer to the event and we know who's definitely in and out, we can like, but we'll say like dream teams just now. So we've got Pato, Mika, Tynan.
Yeah. Under 99, let's go Mason Fowler.
99 Mason, and then over
Victor.
So that's our dream team for the Americas Misfits. Let's go Europe next. Under 66. I think this is quite a close call between two grapplers. What do you think?
Yeah, I think between Ash and Owen is quite contested. I think there's other guys you could throw in there like Gearbeg, but Owen smoked Gearbeg at ADCC. Him and Ash have had some back and forth matches, but I think the argument between Owen and Ash is like Ash is the established grappler that's been at that level for a long time. He's done this and that, and Owen is the guy that's came onto the scene, beat Ash, and also had a tremendous run at ADCC and done a lot better at ADCC than Ash has ever done. So it's kind of like Owen's peak at the moment versus Ash's accomplishments the past 5 years to a decade.
I think they're very close. Like in terms of like if they were to have matches against each other, I think what might nudge it in Owen's favor is just his finishing ability. I think on the other side of it, like Ash's durability is huge, and like he's hard to finish. But I think like Owen's style and the fact that he can pull subs out against like elite grapplers, like we saw in the last ADCC, might just nudge it in his favor.
Also, probably unlikely given the fact they've got Ethan, but there is a possibility Owen could represent B team as well.
Yeah, and this is what we'll discuss as we go along. And there's a couple of other grapplers that fall into this category, and I just wonder if they don't make the B team squad, will they then end up on one of the Misfits teams? I suppose it depends whether they want to go up against B team or whether they just want to be involved in the event, but like Owen could fall into that category. I think there's one clear shout at under 77, but we've got a second name as well. Like, should the first shout not be willing to take part? But I think if we're doing a draft for like these kind of events, and you want someone with like 100 for finishing ability, then it's the man that we'd slot in at under 77 for the European team, right? Mateusz Szysinski.
Yeah, it's a funny one given that Langacker's beaten Mateus a couple of times and he's the one that's won trials. But as far as like what they've actually done at ADCC, Mateus has had these submission victories over like Gary Tonin and William Tackett. And then at the last Polaris, which had not the exact same rule set and layer, but like a similar concept of the team events, he was definitely the MVP and kind of showed what he was capable of in that kind of rule set. So if you're going for excitement and finishing power, then yeah, I would definitely pick Mateus over Tommy, but Tommy's definitely a good shout as well.
Yeah. And we assume Joseph Chen will probably be B team's under 77 representative, particularly with Nicky Ryan out with injury.
Yeah, and I think Joseph's proven himself to be more reliable in competition than Nicky Rod, especially recently as well.
Nicky Ryan even.
Yeah, Nicky Ryan. Yeah.
Okay. Under 88, I think this is a really interesting category for Europe and one where Europe's particularly strong. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the favourite would be Ona Flanagan. I think he's done the most out of the few guys that we've got now. Then the other ones are Taylor Pierman and Santeri Ilias, but Owen is the one that's won matches at ADCC and won matches at CJI, so probably the strongest submission threat out of the three as well. So I would say he is the favourite, but you've also got Taylor. He's a bit more well-versed top and bottom, even though he's been more showing off his guard and leg locks recently. And then you've got Santeri, who's a bit more defensively minded and better wrestling as well. So that's kind of what you've got to pick attribute wise, but I do think Owen is the clear favourite out of those three.
Yeah, I'd agree. And it just like you could, again, it gets interesting when we start to get into these weight classes. Like Owen's quite big, so is there a potential for Owen going into under 99 if it gives Taylor a shot at under 88? Possibly, because then you'd have two good submission threats on the team. But we'll keep with Owen at under 88, and then under 99 could have a strong finisher anyway with Marcin Makovic from Poland. Or you could have a completely different type of grappler in Owen Livesey, who's got a huge profile and obviously has competed at the elite level. So he might be in there. What do you think about the under 99 category?
Yeah, I would say those are the two main shouts. Again, it comes down to the question of who's going to be organising the teams. If it's Craig, I think maybe Owen's more likely to get a shout because he's been on the show before. But if it's kind of left up to the teams themselves, given that Taylor and Matthias are mates with Marcin, I think it's quite likely they would pick him.
And what about over 99?
Yeah, over 99, we've got Heike Jessla, and then we've got our friend Mark McQueen as well. Can you think of anyone else for over 99?
Not off the top of my head. I thought when we chatted about this before, I thought it was like between those two gals who are both trials winners. I think like Hecky obviously has like more experience, like good wrestler. I think Mark probably has more potential to score finishes just on the two of them. So I'd like to see Mark, not just because he's a friend of ours, but like given the nod. Because I think Hecky's one of these grapplers that if you're up against him, like he could get like a draw against the other guy and eliminate. Well, both, but it's just like a square match. I think Mark's got, lean towards Mark having like more ability to actually like score a submission and get a point on the board. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd rather see Mark, not only because he's our friend, but also because he's just spent the last few months training at New Wave. And when he was in Scotland, there's probably like a couple guys in Scotland as big and as athletic as him that do jiu-jitsu, and none that are as big and athletic and anywhere near as good at jiu-jitsu as him. So didn't really have, he had good training partners from a technical point of view, but from like a technical and size point of view, there was no one really to give him that feel that he was going to get in competition. Whereas over at New Wave, he would have had that from multiple people every single day. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him back in competition and seeing what that's done to his game. Again, it comes down to who's making the teams. I think his relationship with like Ona Flanagan and stuff would probably make it more likely for him to get picked, but I would personally like to see Mark as well.
I thought you were going to say there's only a few guys in the whole of Scotland with the size and athleticism of Mark. And I'm like, yeah, they probably play for a rugby team and that's about it. You know what I mean?
The world's strongest man as well. What's his name?
Oh, yeah, Stoltman.
Yeah, Stoltman.
Yeah.
Maybe get him.
All right, so let's pick one in each category for Europe as well. I'll end up with a starting five. So what do you think? Under 66?
I'll go Owen. I think his peak at the moment, which is all that really matters, is higher than Ash's, more exciting, more likely to get finishes.
77?
We'll go with Matthias. I just think this kind of team event suits him well. Ability to get a finish, shorter matches, less slipperiness is going to suit him well in his game.
88?
Ona Flanagan, probably the strongest finishing threat of those three and has done the most in these kind of big competitions.
99?
99, I'll go with Marcin again, just for the submission threat. I think when we saw the Team Europe at the Polaris recently, that was the thing that worked well for them, was having that strong submission threat. So I think leaning into that for them is going to be the best.
And over 99?
We'll go with Mark.
Good. And then let's talk about Australasia, which, for the purposes of this, we're going to say it is Australia, New Zealand, Oceania, and Asia. I think that's only fair when you have North and South America combining. I think like if you took Australasia as meaning like Australia, New Zealand, and surrounding islands, that's like a smaller talent pool, obviously, than if you start to bring in the likes of Japan.
As well, I don't even think it would be necessary to say Australasia if that is what you would consider Australasia, because I don't think anyone outside of Australia would get picked if you were to include New Zealand and things like that. So I think, yeah, Asia is a good shout.
Okay, so let's start off with the smallest weight class, under 66, which I think probably for this region is the toughest one to pick, just in terms of like guys being absolutely elite. Even if there are good grapplers at this, guys that have made it to the ADCC, I just think there's not as many that have like gone deeper in the ADCC. So do you have some names to throw my way?
Yeah, a few years ago, we could have chucked in guys like Jeremy Skinner and Ariel Tabak, but I think they're on the heavier side now, towards 77. There's some stronger guys in that weight class. So for 66, probably just have to go with the two guys that won trials from that region last time, which is Ethan Thomas from Australia. He had Ethan Crownston in the first round and had a close match with him, but lost in ADCC. And then the guy from Asia,
Jiu from China.
Jiu from China. We're not going to bother trying to butcher the rest of the name, but yeah, he had a really impressive performance at trials and has been at B team having some good rounds with the guys. So I think either of them would be a good shout.
Yeah, one more guy I saw online getting a shout for this category was Dave Stylescu, who I don't know loads about, but he has placed at trials, and I think he's on the up. So it might be someone we see more of in the future. But we're just trying to give some names. You know, obviously, like, yeah, it's not a category 66, Asia Oceania, where there's like guys at the cutting edge, like the absolute top. So we'll be picking one out of like maybe those 3 or 4 names that we've suggested. I think 77, they're very well served though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I would say the two front runners for that. Would love to see Lachlan Giles back in these kind of events, but he does seem to be retired at the moment. Whether he would come out of retirement for his friend Craig Jones' event is yet to be seen, but I think the clear two guys are Levi Jones-Leary and Kenta, who are kind of complete opposite style-wise. So depending on what you value, you could pick either one of them. If you're going to value awkwardness and submission threat, then you'd probably go with Levi. If you're going to pick durability, wrestling, top game, you're going to pick Kenta.
I think you have to go Levi just for like
what he did at last CGI.
Last CGI and like star quality as well.
Yeah.
I think just on Lachlan, that could we see Lachlan in a super fight maybe? I think there are going to be some super fights across the event.
Him versus Marcelo, given they're both on the older side, both the same category, that would be a great one to see.
Absolutely. Under 88, I think they're strong here as well.
I'm drawing a blank, so I'll let you do this.
Well, we're going to have to suggest Lucas Kennard after we got burned by Lucas last time. Where I think fair enough at CJI, you know, we assumed Victor Hugo against Lucas Kennard was heavily favoured to be a win for Victor, and it wasn't. Lucas Kennard scored a leg lock victory, but yeah, him at under 88, I think is a great shout. And then Isaac Michel, I believe he's been training at New Wave. I think is he up at Vanguard as well a bit as well.
Yeah, I think so. He was going between Vanguard and New Wave quite a bit, so I think it will be I think it was actually he was going between Vanguard and the Tackett's gym for a while, but he seems to have shifted over to when he's in Texas being at New Wave. So yeah, could potentially see him represented by New Wave, but we think Giancarlo's probably going to be the front runner for that. He's maybe going to be a backup, but if he's not, then he can definitely slot into this team.
But I think Lucas as well, like that ability, that submission threat means he would be great to have. And given his performance at the last CGI, like he has to be firmly in Craig's sights for this team, if it is Craig that's picking it. Under 99, interesting. Like, if it was to make a very strong team, could Lucas or Isaac go up one weight class and then have the other guy at the lower weight class? Possibly. I think you've got Daniel Stewart at under 99 who qualified for the ADCC last time. I've seen some other names suggested like Kaya Rudolph, but I don't think it's the strongest category necessarily for the area.
Yeah, cool to see Fat Ninja jump back into jiu-jitsu competition for this. That's a name we'd like to see.
Yes, this is a great shout from Callum pre-record, where we're just throwing around names. Igor Tanabe, who was like really, really good, really, really high on the jiu-jitsu scene for a while, right? Who's it? We're checking his record. He's beaten Heisem, beaten Tommy Langacker, Jacob Couch.
Yeah.
So yeah, like high level guys he's beaten, and then he focused more on MMA. But I think Igor Tanabe, who I think previously competed at under 88, but whether he do 88 or 99 remains to be seen. But that is a brilliant shout from Callum as a possible guy. So yeah, Fat Ninja is the nickname. Yeah. Yeah, great nickname as well. And then over 99, I think Josh Saunders would have to be like, if we're just doing our dream team based on guys, like whether this, like, you know, I think he would be the shout. But the reason I'm like stumbling there is because I've read suggestions that like he might not be like pro CJI or whatever. He might be more towards the ADCC side of things based on what happened last time. So it's just a lot of chat online. Who knows? Only Josh knows the truth as to whether he would do it if he was asked. But I think
he'd
like,
be the clear name to get picked for it. Right?
yeah, I mean, I've seen other guys' names thrown about, like Tito John Carl, or whether Daniel Stewart could go up a weight class or whatever. But I think like until we know otherwise, we'll slot Josh in, right?
For the heavier guys that part of the world, someone needs to teach the Polynesians some jiu-jitsu. I think you'd have some beasts at that weight class at that part of the world if you showed them some jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go. Start at under 66, starting 5. Who are you going to pick out all those guys?
I'll go Ethan Thomas. I think he looked better at ADCC against a high-level guy like Ethan Krellinston.
77.
Go with Levi. Strong performance at the last CGI.
88.
This is a tough one. I think Isaac's a bigger name value, but maybe with the beef with Craig, more likely to get the other one. But I'll pick Isaac just because of name value.
99.
Under 99. Who was the options for this again?
So some suggest, like, well, could Lucas go up? That would be a consideration. Daniel Stewart, or could he go up, right? And then Fat Ninja.
Actually, I don't know if this is just something I've made up, but I think Kennard won trials at under 88, and then just before he went over to CGI, did he not switch his weight class to 99, something like that? So yeah, I think that is a possibility, and he did look quite big for 88, so we'll go Kennard.
Oh, and one more name just in that mix, but might end up on the B team would be Declan Moody.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a strong suggestion as well. Yeah.
But we'll just leave him possibly in the mix with B team for now. So do you want to go Isaac 88, Lucas 99?
Yeah.
And then Josh over 99.
Yeah.
Just in an effort to pick the best guys we think from that region, and then we'll see how it all shakes out in the months to come.
Yeah, sounds good.
But that is the starting 5 for the 3 Misfits teams as chosen by the Jiu Jitsu Oracle. In future episodes, we're going to go through who we would pick for the 5 slots from each of the teams that are going to be representing gyms. And in the near future, we've got some great shows coming up. BJJ Stars, FPI, WNO. So give us a like, a follow, a subscribe, etc. And look out for our previews and reviews of those events coming soon.